guys, so today we are finishing the rest of chapter 10 of Foxpaw, and at the beginning of the chapter yesterday, Podkin took Pook out into the warren to try and find money and food for Shape and Quince. So we'll find out if they managed to find anything. And they found one coin, hadn't they, so we'll see if they can find any more. An hour later, they had covered half of the market, scrabbling about in the dirt between the stalls. Podkin had been kicked in the ribs by 2 stallholders and chased off by several more, and they had nothing to show for it except an old apple core, which Pook was now sucking on. That and the original copper coin. So much for his get-rich-quick idea. "This is not good, Pook," he said. The little rabbit wasn't listening. Something had caught his attention on the other side of the market. Boom! Boom! Pook had dropped his soggy apple core and was pointing excitedly at a dingy corner. 3 or 4 scruffy-looking rabbits were crouched in a circle, taking turns to roll dice. Some kind of game, Podkin supposed. Boom! Pook started crawling over. The dice must have reminded him of the casting banes he'd played with at Bridget's place. He was drawn to them in some way. Podkin didn't think the scruffy rabbits would take kindly to the strange baby ruining their game. He jumped up and ran after Pook, grabbing him just before he managed to snatch up the dice in his chubby little paw. "Oi, nibbler! Keep your rabbit out of our game!" A black and white rabbit with torn ears and brown teeth tried to slap at Pook as Podkin pulled him back. "Yeah," said another scrawny brown buck, "unless he wants to join in." 3 of the rabbits roared with laughter, while the 4th looked miserable. He threw a handful of copper coins onto the floor and the others snatched them up. Podkin stared. "A whole handful of coins? Are you playing for money?" he asked. He remembered seeing guards back at the warren doing something like this. His mother never allowed him to watch too closely. "Foxpaw, winner takes all," said the brown rabbit. "Care to chance your luck?" Foxpaw. The name rang a bell. Wasn't it from the story Bridget had told them? The dice game the goddess herself had played when she beat Gormaduke, or whatever he'd been called. Surely that must be a sign. A foolish rabbit and his radishes are easily parted. That was what Auntie Olwyn always used to say. Or was it his mother? Someone much more sensible than him, anyway. It meant that gambling was for ferret brains. They'd only managed to find 1 single coin all morning, and here he was thinking of throwing it away. But Pook had been so good at rolling the bones. A natural gift, she'd said. And the little tinker was itching to do it again. What if it was a sign from the goddess? He looked at the piles of coins lined up in front of the rabbits. "It is a stupid thing to do," he thought, "but there's nobody around to tell me otherwise. Just for once, he could be as stupid as he liked. And what if it worked?" "We're in," he said, holding out his copper coin. "But my brother gets to roll for me." The scruffy rabbits hooted and roared at this, so much that others wondered over to see what was going on. Soon there was a little crowd around the game, with Pook in the middle trying to grab at the dice. "Let's play then," said the brown rabbit. "Do you know the rules?" When Podkin shook his head, he laughed even harder. "There's 3 dice, see? Bone ones with 6 sides apiece. They're marked with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and a fox's paw. Each time you roll, you add the numbers up. You can roll as many times as you like, but if you get 1 single fox paw, you're out. The one with the highest score at the end wins the money. Understand?" Podkin nodded. "Basically, you don't want to roll a fox paw. Simple." The black and white rabbit sneered at him. "Seeing it's your first game, you can start." "Roll, Pook," Podkin said. The crowd behind him gave a little cheer. Pook grabbed the dice with glee and threw them down. A whoop went up from the crowd, and Podkin realised he'd been scrunching his eyes shut. He looked down to see 2 3s and a 1. "Beginner's luck," said the brown rabbit. "Roll again?" Perhaps they should stop and keep the score, Podkin thought. He had no idea of what a good total was. If they rolled again, they risked losing everything. But that was what games of chance were all about, weren't they? "Go on, Pook, roll again!" The little rabbit snatched the dice up and flung them. For one horrible moment, Podkin was sure there would be a fox paw showing. But the crowd cheered again. A pair of 2s and a 3. 11, said the brown rabbit. He was starting to look less amused. "Roll again, why don't you? It's easy to get higher than that." "Stop there!" someone from the crowd called out. Other voices joined in. "They'll never beat that! 11's amazing! The goddess herself only rolled 9. Podkin began to pull back. But to pull Pook back, but he had grabbed the dice again. He threw them in the air, chortling with joy. "Pook!" Podkin yelled. He watched the dice spinning in slow motion, tumbling to the muddy floor and bouncing up and down again. Surely this time there would be a fox's paw showing. Instead, there were 3 5s. "Cheat!" the black and white rabbit yelled. "You must be cheating!" The crowd behind Podkin booed and shouted at the black and white rabbit, and he quickly backed down. He folded his arms and shot evil looks across Podkin across the circle. "Have another go, little one," the brown rabbit cooed at Pook, trying to make him lose his score. "One more roll, it's such fun, isn't it?" Podkin tightened his grip on Pook, but the little rabbit didn't even move to touch the dice. Instead, he wrapped his arms around his podgy legs and stared at the scruffy rabbits, as if daring them to go next. The child's a born gamer, Podkin thought, amazed. Seeing Pook's turn was over, the other rabbits tried their luck. The brown rabbit rolled a foxpaw first time, as did the black and white. The third scruffy rabbit managed a second roll before he threw three foxpaws together. There were cheers and whoops from all the onlookers. "Pay up!" they yelled. "Pay them their due!" With sulky faces, the scruffy rabbits each handed over a copper coin. The money chinked heavily in Podkin's outstretched paws. By some miracle, he had turned 1 coin into 5, when by rights he should be walking away with nothing. "Shiny!" Pook said. We'll read the interlude as well, because it's only 2 pages. The bard stops talking and pauses for a moment to tug his beard. He gives his audience a thoughtful look. "I suppose I should say a few words to you about gambling and how it's a very stupid thing to do. Podkin the Great did it," says the inquisitive rabbit, "and he was a hero." "And the goddess herself," added the sensible rabbit, "and she is a goddess, obviously." "My Uncle Colm does it all the time," says another rabbit. "He won a whole barrel of mead once." "My daddy won a spear and a shield and a cloak and some trousers. In fact, everything the other rabbit was wearing." Yes, the bard raised his hand to stop the chattering. "I'm sure lots of people have won lots of things, including the goddess herself. But for everything they won, I'm sure they lost more. Pook won because he had a touch of magic about him when it came to casting bones. Not many other rabbits have that blessing. Whatever tales of glory you've heard, gambling is for idiots." A cheer comes from the corner of the room where the guards are playing dice. The doorman has come off duty and seems to be winning. The bard shrugs. "I rest my case." "We get the picture," says the sensible rabbit. "Don't gamble. Now what did Podkin do with the money?" The bard smiles and continues. And chapter 11, which we'll read tomorrow, is called Sell Swords. So hopefully we'll find out what Podkin did with the money and whether they managed to escape Bone Room.